Welcome to my channel. Make sure you hit the like button, share, and subscribe. So I did a little recording last night in the middle of the night, and it was pertaining to the character and stand-up brothers that used to be street dudes, but they still have morals and still follow the code. And I was really thinking about how most of the people who represented that code and those morals and righteousness, but once they got into the industry, they were basically destroyed one way or another. So this is what I had to say. But when I woke up this morning, I'm gonna post what I said, what I recorded. But when I woke up this morning, I saw that Tisa Tells, she's another channel on YouTube, was bringing up the passing of Chris Lighty and how some people are questioning whether or not he was involved in that. But first, I'm going to play you my recording. Good morning. I really don't know where I'm going with this, but I was just sitting here, just reminiscing a little bit and thinking about how important street dudes were at one time. It's like they kind of kept the community grounded in their own ways, even though they was bending a little bit in order to accomplish what they really wanted to accomplish under this system without having to compromise themselves. And I guess maybe that's why I studied black men of that time. Maybe it was for now so that I could see the difference in how the integrity and the moral fiber differs so much from then to now. You know, I'm just trying to find the right words because I want y'all to understand what I'm saying completely. It was something, you know, they weren't angels, but they had a sort of righteousness with them. And that was during a time where, you know, women and children were protected. And if they would wind up getting in your ass for something like that, like disrespecting women and children, an old lady, a person that was handicapped, like they would check you. You would get checked. You would get checked. So I'm starting to understand why I was so fascinated by black men in the streets at that time, because they represented a sort of righteousness. You know what I'm saying? And you got a lot of these dudes that have these traits, this kind of righteousness with them. Sort of like 50, the way he jumped all over Diddy when that came out that he beat Cassie up and he was making him, you know, I wouldn't say degrading him, but kind of like, he basically, the way he reacted to Diddy, this Diddy situation is like, he's saying Diddy is a goofy. You know what I'm saying? So he kind of embarrassing him and taunts him and stuff like that. That's how they were back in the days. If you did something bogus like that, like you wouldn't get no type of respect. It didn't matter if you had money or not. You would not get any type of respect. So you got some of the dudes that go into the industry with these traits. This sort of righteousness with them that they have is natural. It can't be made up. It can't be copied. It's just there. It's just there. And a lot of these guys that's in the industry now that's up there, they don't have that righteousness with them, to me. There's anything goes with them. There's anything goes. That righteousness, that moral fiber that made the black man such a strong figure in the hood, that's basically gone. And maybe that's why everything is so wild, because they were basically the foundation along with the woman, because we were basically following them even whether we knew it or not, that righteousness extended through the woman as well. But now that that righteousness is gone, because everybody's talking about women shaking their ass and all this, that righteousness, that moral fiber from men, meaning if enough men would be like, we don't want no woman that's up there shaking her ass like that in the camera. That's not something that we want. That's not something that we respect. And they like played you, like downgraded what you were doing or degraded you for what you was doing. A lot of women wouldn't be doing that. But because a lot of men are receptive to it, women do it more. You got more women doing this, altering their bodies and stuff like that. So because the moral fiber went down with the men, it extended to the woman, if y'all can understand what I'm saying. You need that morality, that moral fiber, that reinforcement of righteousness. So I noticed that you got some of these guys that when they're coming up, they'll surround themselves with people like this. And I'm really talking about Diddy. He'll surround himself with these type of older, these type of dudes that had this moral fiber, this righteousness with them. But as soon as he was able to get in position where he's the one they had to go to sustain themselves, because that street money that existed with BMF and Wolf and them and all of that, and that era is no longer here. So those resources that were there, whether they were legal or illegal, are no longer there. So now you got a lot of these righteous men compromising themselves because they need a way to get some money. So it's like the moral fiber and the righteousness of them is not appreciated in that world. We don't want nobody that's righteous up here. We don't want nobody that has any type of moral fiber with them, because we want you to go to the full, to go as far away from righteousness as possible, because that way we know that you down with us, because we don't have none of that over here. So when I say they live by the different set of rules, that's what I mean. So he surrounded himself with all these type of men, and then little by little, as he climbed up the ladder, these men were gone, one way or another. They were no longer associated with him as closely as they were before, if they were even still in the picture. So the people that would have checked him, the people that would have been like, you want some bullshit, and roughed him up, disrespected him, regardless of his money, those people didn't have access to him anymore. They were either locked up, they were unalived or passed away somehow, or they separated themselves from him once they realized who he was, like Mace. They don't talk about the little boy that they had on Bad Boy that was doing a video shoot. And in the middle of the video shoot, he just started playing with himself. He was about 12. And he kind of like had a nervous breakdown. They don't talk about that much. But that was being in that type of vibration, that type of frequency. It messed him up. That's how heavy it was around him. So I'm saying all this to say, And that righteousness has also been diminished due to the type of music we listen to, too. Like, love songs are making a comeback, thank God. I see a little light at the end of the tunnel with the change in the music. But all these things play a factor. And these dudes in that industry that didn't have that patriarchal sense of community and being a role model and a father and just a man, a stand-up man. That's what's missing. Because I've been just sitting here and when I do get into my thoughts, I'll think about what happened. And the main thing that happened is the righteous man's dignity, where he didn't have to bow down to be able to take care of himself and his family and live with some type of income without having to go through the channels of the corporate world or blue collar work, or they were able to do their ones and twos and get what they needed, so they didn't have to bow down to anybody. So all the ones that didn't bow down to have their position, they was just dropping back to back to back, just dropping. And it was because of these type of people like Diddy. These non-righteous men. These men that don't care about the moral fiber. That'll diminish that moral fiber. That don't care to represent it for the rest of them. For the rest that's watching them. The only thing I can say about him is he didn't just have babies and just abandon them. But although he put his hands on a woman and I think she lost a baby as a result of that, or something happened. But the children that he has, he makes sure they're all together and stuff like that. That's the only thing that I see about him. But that was the ultimate betrayal what this dude did. My mind keeps going back to if he's responsible. And a lot of other people that was around Big at the time, where he thought they were sharing his success and admiring him for his talent. And the whole time, they was hiding knives and guns behind their backs here, smiling at him. But see, that isolation that Big probably felt, because I know he must have picked up on it at some point. Maybe that's why he got with Undies and picked Undies to do the record label. But I'm sure he felt that funny feeling like something ain't right before he passed away. And then to look at it from the beginning, like at some point prior to the first Ready to Die album, when he was just grinding, I think that's when Diddy saw that he would not be able to get this guy to bend and give up his moral fiber. He was one of the righteous ones. And as soon as that was identified, I think that's where the plan began, the plot began. To just feed off his essence. And Diddy's been feeding off of his essence, off of Big's essence, for a long time. And last year they had this big old campaign around Big's birthday, and they were giving out Metro cards. You know, the Metro cards you used to get on a train, and they had Big on the back of it in red. Now, the color red signifies some type of magic or something going on most of the time. It stands for activation, it represents activation. But something was going on with that. They had Big and red in the on the behind on the back of the Metro card. And then they lit the Empire State Building up on his birthday in red. So they've been usurping Big's energy from beyond for a long, long, long time. This dude Diddy has been living off his energy. And so has Jay-Z on a low, on as quiet as kept. Because I remember when Jay-Z was involved with the Barclays Center opening and being built, and the Nets came to Brooklyn, the Brooklyn Nets, and he had a lot of involvement and stuff. So he was they were saying that he was going to design the basketball uniforms for the Brooklyn Nets. Now, before Big died, he had a clothing line he was coming out with called Brooklyn Mint. It had a big B in the middle of it. And damn if that uniform, Brooklyn Nets, at that time, didn't look just like it had the big B in front of it. Just took Big's idea. Every year they was usurping this man's energy. Except for this year, I don't really see that happening as much. I didn't see that happening, but then they built that crazy ass statue that is weird looking. It's a weird statue. I don't know what that's supposed to be. It's weird. Go look up that statue they did for Big. I forgot to get it so I can show it to y'all. But sometimes I just randomly just want to jump up here and just talk. And that's what I had on my mind. It's like there was a war against those type of brothers. The ones that, yeah, they was moving how they was moving. They were programmed with that street shit, but there was certain boundaries that they had that no longer exist. And to be respected in that world, in that industry, you have to abandon all of that. You can pretend to the people like you're still like that, but behind closed doors, you better if I tell you to do anything at the drop of a dime, you better do it and show me that you don't have no integrity and no dignity. And you'll bow down. So it's really like house niggas and field niggas. Because the field niggas wasn't fucking with the house niggas. The house niggas would tell on the field niggas and, tell Master this one's trying to escape. That's what these niggas is. The house niggas. Shutting down all the real ones. Pointing them out. Targeting them. Because they know they can't stand next to them for too long. Because then they'll be revealed. So just think about that. This is just a random thought. Now I know a lot of you may be wondering, why is she rambling on and on about Diddy and this Biggie stuff? I just feel like there's going to be a lot that's going to be unraveled with these different charges coming up on Diddy and him being investigated like he is. But this is what Tisa Tells had to say about Chris Lighty.
are Sean Diddy Combs, the feds are combing through everything going on in your life. And baby, they are pulling up the tapes, or should I say digging up the bodies. You guys, if you don't know, it has long been suspected that a cloud of death follows Diddy. Now, he's either the most unlucky person in the world, and baby, nobody needs to be his friend, because his friends, enemies, lovers, and whatever all have a habit of showing up gone, usually from suspected deletions or murkings. Now, I want to give a special shout out to Brianna for bringing this story to my attention. But baby, we need to look at right now what happened between Diddy and Chris Lighty, okay? Now, Brianna actually messaged me and said, Tisa, I'm not sure if this is connected, but you were talking about Shakir Stewart. Go watch that video if you haven't seen it. His story sounded familiar, like I heard it before. So I went back to some podcasts about a one Mr. Christopher Lighty, or Chris Lighty.
At Chris Lighty's wedding, he told me to take me shopping. I looked at him like, what'd you just say? Let me move, man, before I do something. You gonna make me mess up the wedding.
He said you did the same thing to him. You asked him to take him shopping.
Yeah, I thought he needed some clothes. What? I'm a nice guy.
Yo, why are you in fifth?
Hey, yo.
Why y'all not?
Hey, yo, I don't have no beef with
I don't know why.
He was Diddy's manager, 50 Cent's manager, and Mariah Carey's manager. He was found deleted in his home from apparent deletion in 2012. Now, I went into it, okay, and I dove deep. I'm actually doing a special deep dive into this later this week. But for right now, let me tell you what I found, and it's going to shock you. This has all the ear markings of Shakir Stewart. It has all the ear markings of what happened to Kim Porter. It had all the ear markings of what happens to people that Diddy wants to go away. But here's the thing. Much like Kim Porter, the people closest to us said this didn't make any sense. There was even false narratives put out. People said, buy Diddy's camp. On top of that, did you know that Diddy, Kim Porter, Shakir Stewart, and Chris Lighty all had one thing in common? Baby, they all they dated Kim, because I'm not going to say that Diddy ever loved Kim. Yes, Chris Lighty, he was the person that founded Violators Records. We're about to go into this. He also was dating Kim Porter, and they are saying that Diddy did not like this. And
now with all these details coming out, and assumptions, people are putting together this puzzle, and we're getting a clearer idea of the type of person that Diddy is. Like, there's a pattern here with him that all of us are starting to see. So now people are going back and looking at these people that passed away suspiciously, some of them almost with the same narrative, and questioning this dude Diddy, y'all. So I'll be looking into this deeper, but I'm telling y'all, something is unraveling, and I'm just releasing what it is that I feel, and I'm just sharing it with y'all. Now, also at the same time, Chris Lighty's mother didn't believe that he committed suicide. Now, if anyone knows Chris Lighty, it's his mother. She did not believe he committed suicide. So she hired a private investigator, and 50 paid for it. And 50 and Buster, they still don't believe to this day that Chris Lighty took himself out, y'all. So we'll be following this. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Peace and love.